Ah, excellent. A sequel to Mamma Mia to answer all of those lingering questions left over from the dense, complex narrative of the original classic, such as why did someone make this, while raising other tantalizing new mysteries such as why would you do it again? In all sincerity, I'd like to take just a moment and get serious by noting that the original Mamma Mia came out long enough ago that I felt compelled to go and look up my original review to remind myself what I'd said about it other than this isn't very good, and was a bit disappointed to discover that I'd built much of my original piece around a tacky description of the main storyline as, surprise, your mom is a slut. In other words, a casual volley of literal slut-shaming that I'd obviously not engage in today, both because it's the epitome of trite, easy, early 2000s edgelord humor, and also because there was more than enough of substance to critique in Mamma Mia without going there. Lesson learned. I'm glad to have improved in the intervening decade, at least I hope so. Which is more than I can say for the franchise. Although I actually guess this one is kind of a little better, strange as this might sound. In case you missed the original film, the premise of Mamma Mia is that ABBA recorded exactly enough memorable yet subtextually vague up-tempo dance tunes to fill out a generic Broadway tourist musical, but the story was technically about Amanda Seyfried as a young woman getting ready to depart the Greek island resort of her youth for marriage and discovering a diary belonging to her once adventurous mother, played by Meryl Streep, identifying three men as her possible unknown biological birth father and inviting them to her going away party in order to suss out the truth. A whole lot of famous people collected easy paychecks doing bad to passable covers of a wedding DJ playlist, mainly Pierce Brosnan, Colin Firth, and Stellan Skarsgård as the three could-be dads, Christine Baranski and Julie Walters as Streep's best friend. Streep proved that she really can rise above any material by eliciting actual emotion via the one sort of melancholy, noteworthy ABBA tune. Your mom and her girlfriends annoyed the ushers by showing up white wine drunk for Sunday matinee, and then the world moved on. Here We Go Again picks up 5 years later, with Streep's character having passed away off-screen, and Seyfried having restored the island hotel to new glory in her honor, with plans for the gala opening that will briefly reunite the cast of the original film for a couple of big blowout numbers in Act 3, but before that, she and the audience will have to endure 2 acts worth of a time-hopping, two-tiered narrative, partly set in the present as she grapples with party planning and angst at her husband being tempted back to the US by a big New York job offer. What's gonna happen? While the second, more interesting half follows Streep's character as a young woman and depicts the events that led her to the island and her fateful encounters with young versions of Brosnan, Firth, and Skarsgård's characters played by Hugh Skinner, Jeremy Irvine, and amazingly some guy who's apparently not one of Skarsgård's actual giant Thor-looking offspring. Wait, how many kids does that guy have anyway? Really? Wow. So the weird thing here is that while not being necessarily good, because these jukebox musical things can't be good really, because you're not just going to get much of a story out of having to string together a series of justifications for famous people to sing a bunch of songs that were not originally meant to carry a narrative structure, this is actually a pretty solid improvement over the first one. The story they do manage is at least a little more involved because there's more going on. The double timeline thing basically works. The staging and direction are significantly improved with more naturalistic compositions and less reliance on green screen. Overall, it's a much more solid production. Except they already burned through all of ABBA's A material in the first movie, so the gimmick this time is to only reuse a couple of the big ones at key moments and fill out the rest of the movie with songs that aren't as well known because they aren't as good of songs. So it's a little bit better, but still slight as a movie, but not as a musical, and still pretty forgettable overall, though just like the first one, when they do slow things down and pull a certain character, I'm not talking about the big celebrity cameo, though that is fun, to do a tonally jarring, out-of-place, sad number, you find yourself going, huh, that's weirdly better than this material actually has any right to be. Now, look, it's extremely difficult to harsh on such a wisp of a movie. Clearly there's an audience for an entire premise that only exists for a bunch of actors who are hilariously too good for this kind of thing to dance around in summerwear and pretty surroundings singing peppy 70s pop songs. Clearly I'm not it, and I think I'm objective enough to know that even still this isn't a particularly good version thereof, but it's not awful. The cast is game for it. When the actress playing the young versions of Baranski and Walters' characters show up in the flashback section, they're so much fun you wonder why that wasn't the whole movie. Look, it's a 2-star movie, but it's harmless. I didn't hate it.